Greetings and salutations. You are listening to the Into the North podcast, where we take a look at the competitive side of the Commander format, also known as CDH. I'm one of your hosts, Lyndon, aka Noobzors, and today I'm joined by my co-hosts, Matt, aka Null.
Yo.
Reed, aka Sick Robot.
Howdy.
And Morgan, aka Spleenface.
How's it going, everyone?
And today, we are going to be doing a...
Year in the review.
We need a soundboard to do that, like, classic YouTube, yay, sound effect. Yeah.
Also, okay, you guys know what's special about Morgan's intro this particular episode?
Morgan's?
Yeah. People can actually respond to it in chat. How are you doing?
True. How you doing?
It's not just a rhetorical,
Oh, true.
Exactly.
True. Okay. So, for those of you who remember our year in review last year, which is probably no one, that's fine.
And year before, we're relatively consistent on this one.
Okay. I mean, the format does change somewhat. But what we have is a list of meme names for the year 2021. And then we've got a list of meme names for 2022. So we're going to kind of review what we had for 2021 and then talk about them for 2022 and see, you know, what all has changed to kind of progress or track the progress, that CDH and Magic is kind of going through. So, let's just read through those from 2021.
Yeah.
Let's just do three at a time, starting with Reed.
Sounds good. Last year, this is already not going to age well. The year of supplemental cards, the year of the bling. We'll see how that one progresses. Year of
I'm
console.
glad that was just 2021.
Oh, yeah. God, can you imagine if 2022 was also...
Money on cardboard.
Yeah, we may have jumped the gun on a few of these 2021 names.
Yeah. If only you knew how bad it would be. Year of the Consult 2 Electric Boogaloo. I mean... Yeah. And the year dorks lived, apparently.
What was that one about?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure the year before was the year dorks died.
Oh, was it? Oh. Or it also
because in 2020, after Flash was banned, everyone was doing like Grixis stuff, and then there were a lot of dork decks winning tournaments last year.
Yeah, that's true.
When did Medium Green die?
Before Flash ban.
It lived, it died, it lived again.
Hold on. We've got Zach. Zach can let us know in chat.
We have the resident Thrasios mid-range historian in the chat.
Okay. Matt?
Yeah. So, the year of survival, I guess. Technically, that also means dorks lived, I guess. The year of playing the right hate. Hate the right? The year of Commander Legends. Yes.
Yeah, it definitely was. Yeah,
because that was like Commander Legends came out in what, September?
It was right at the end of 2020.
Yeah. And the full effect came in.
You know, it kind of felt like when Commander Legends, like building up to Commander Legends, was like climbing the behemoth at Canada's Wonderland. Okay?
True. Yeah.
And then you reach the top. Commander Legends releases, and it's just a straight plummet, and we just haven't stopped since. You know, it's just still going.
Honestly, Commander Legends might have been the last time that I was like genuinely hyped for a set, like for a while leading up to it. I was like, this is going to be cool. And now it's like,
but there's no time to be hyped. You're just like,
got some sealed product over there.
Let's just rip it all open right
There's
now.
There's a foil jewel lotus in that.
Probably.
At least.
You waited, right?
I
brought the scale.
I brought the scale. I know there's at least a quarter of a foil in there.
Okay. Next up for 2021, we also had Year of Partners Continued Redux Part 2. The Weekend of Cody.
Yep.
That's a good one.
That's a great one, actually.
Yeah. And the Year of Dargo being better than Rograk.
Wow,
that feels like a bit of a subtweet.
Actually, let me...
I don't know who...
That was definitely Reed's point, for sure.
Continue.
Okay.
I guess we're on to me. So we had the year of tournaments, which we may have jumped the gun on a little bit.
Yep.
The year of ITN settling in. Year of the content. Year of I don't even remember all the cards that came out this year.
Yeah.
Once again, that stopped last year. Continue it all.
So,
I don't know. Why were we so optimistic about 2022? What was the... I don't know what the driving force
reading
behind that
this,
one
reading
was.
2021 was a warning. It was a warning.
We just didn't realize it at the time.
Shit. And then I guess I'll finish it out. Year of Mono Blue, Year of Turbo, and the year that Food Chain died. Which really, Food Chain died years before, right?
Food Chain won a tournament last year.
Didn't Food Chain get a reprint this year?
Food Chain won a tournament last year.
What cards didn't get reprinted this year, man?
Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah, how many, like what, is it an actual reprint, or is
No,
that
I was about to say, all the RL
was,
stuff, but
Yeah,
even that.
yeah, exactly. I was about to say, like, I can't even call the Lotus on that one.
Okay. So, that was...
2022 time.
How right were we?
Yeah, that was 2021. Now, what we've got for this year, 2022. So, I think what we'll do is we'll read the ones that we put down ourselves.
Yep.
And then we'll kind of give a bit of justification.
And we can let chat come up with
Oh,
their
for
own
sure.
To
years as well.
justify these are all.
Exactly.
Who could argue?
They're
Fine,
self-evident.
Fine, yeah, true.
Oh god, there are some.
Oh, wait, Reed, did you put
Some
the Roger
discursive.
Yeah.
There are some.
That's what I was typing that.
Okay. Also,
all right.
chat.
Some
Now is your
landmines in
time.
here.
Now is your time to get in all of your
Yep.
meme names for 2022 before we preempt them and list them all off.
Yeah. The year of no more COVID. Yeah, we'll start it off with that.
That's a jinx, man.
Yeah, honestly.
Which variant are we getting now?
Like, seriously,
Monkeypox, bro?
the
No.
only reason I didn't get incredibly sick this year was just because, like, all of my travel timed, like, exactly around the, like, massive outbreaks of respiratory illnesses. So,
man.
So good luck.
Cool.
yeah.
So,
Alrighty.
For 2022, I have Year of Clout. Which, I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory, man.
Yeah.
Like, new content creators, people, clout farming in general. And
Not us,
I don't
though.
know.
And not any of you.
I would never. I would never.
And nobody
Matt would never.
who is
Absolutely never.
can confirm Matt would never. Yeah, also year of Morgan and Reed sharing hotel rooms.
Yeah,
Definitely
it was.
true. We got a lot of travel in this year.
Just hotel
good,
rooms?
good travel buddies.
Showers.
You gotta save on water, man.
Yeah, we took there were a fair amount of plane trips this year.
Private
And a
jets.
good long drive.
Good long drive. Got a good long drive in there. That was actually, I feel like we got a lot, like, that drive sucked. But it was also a vehicle to get really deep into conversations that
Yo,
we
it
don't
was
usually
fun.
get
I
into.
enjoyed
Like,
I'm
talking
glad you guys had a
literal-
good time.
like, I don't think I'd do it again. Unless we had like people driving in shifts, but like just the fact that we had like a 4-hour conversation on like CDH commentary.
Yeah.
And like
Oh,
getting
it was
like
awesome.
super into it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah.
And they were just totally wrong. It was so. When I had to focus on driving, it was so frustrating.
Morgan threatened to turn this car around 3 times. And then there was the change your opinion or I'm just
We're straight into the media.
Yeah, I was gonna say, turning the car around does not change the conversation.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, you're getting ahead of yourself, but yes, the year of Twitter.
Yeah.
Is on the
Definitely
list.
in there. Yep.
We've been preempted.
I have put down the Year of Brews. So there was some contention over this. I think, because this year there was so many commanders printed and so many of them just do completely random garbage. And they're really stretching the limits of like their design space. There's some interesting stuff that was like fun to brew around. I brewed around Ivy, been working around
Dude,
Magar,
I swear,
Volo.
Ivy is like the most copium commander in the format
do you mean
right
co-
now.
No, come on.
It's that commander is pure copium.
Okay,
You're just like, I'm
have
gonna
a
play
good-
these 1-mana auras that draw me 2 cards and then like not do anything.
Okay,
else.
but hang on a second. People unironically played Lonus, so
Yeah, but at least like you could like steal somebody's like big thing with Lotus. Like I don't know, dude.
I see.
That was the most copium thing ever done.
Oh, dude, yeah. Honestly, like all of Civic right now that isn't fucking Kinnan is just pure copium.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Yeah.
All right, we have the year of tournaments, which
the actual year of tournaments.
oh yeah,
this time.
there's we got a few new tournament groups, which is good. Obviously, there were a decent number of tournaments in 2021, but a lot of them were online, which is fun. But now we have Chaos doing monthly online tournaments,
which
That's
is
gonna
great.
be awesome.
I love that.
Eminence has announced 3-4 events this year.
Yeah, we're at what Silicon Dynasty, Punt City 2.
I think they're
there's a
roughly
Midwest
quarterly,
tournament
right?
as well.
Yeah.
I think the last one
Playmax
is.
might be coming back.
Yep, we'll see.
The Path of Dominance
we'll see
series.
Path of Dominance runs
continue.
more. And actually, I'm really excited to see when Path of Dominance like figures out, like, because they've had some like sort of bumpy starts for the last 2 tournaments or so, but like I think it's very like the problems that they have are very resolvable, and I think once they get to the point where they resolve that, like having a bi-weekly of like Path of Dominance, Chaos, Path of Dominance, Chaos would just be like awesome,
That's
right?
so cool. Yeah.
And then also, I think we have to put a disclaimer on the year of tournaments for this year as well, because there's a very real chance that 2022 is the year of tournaments.
Honestly, if we put year of tournaments on our list every year, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, seriously,
right?
yeah.
We'll
just you know what? We'll call this one the year of tournaments so far.
Yeah. The year of tournaments, the 2 towers.
Yeah, year of tournaments, 2 towers. That's a good year of tournaments. Prisoner of Azkaban. Year of tournaments, Tokyo Drift.
Deathly Hallows Part 1. Okay, I also put down the year of the Cabal, which there was weird kind of like, I remember the start of years, or maybe not start of year, but it was like kind of this weird secret, like, what is the Cabal, blah, blah, blah. And then there was, kind of came out, there was this group, and there was like influence on kind of decks being made, secret brews for tournaments,
that
interesting
ended up
stuff.
not actually being that secret.
So this is really just a subheading of Year of Twitter, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, it's the thread portion of Twitter.
Once again, I'm just asking, please let me join your secret club. I swear.
Not because he wants to play it, not because he wants to get into discourse. He just wants to be a part of all the secret clubs.
I just don't like feeling left out. Okay?
I just like Discord roles. That's so wrong.
I like pretty colors.
Dude, the Thanos snap when you get all the colored rolls.
You get all the Discord roles.
So this one, to retract my previous one, is a year of Rograk being better than Dargo.
Okay, but have there been any Naya Rograk decks? Like, Dargo's good enough to carry Naya.
I'm incredulous that Naya Dargo made top 16. Wait, it made top 4, didn't it?
I forget, but one of those two.
It's like, it's unreal to me. Like that deck. When I played it, you played in pods with me. Like that deck, it was sick, but like it did not feel like
did a
capable.
thing that one time.
Yeah, I mean, like no, like sorry, it kills people. Like if you don't respect the fact that you can just like put a Rector in play and like murder the table, like it's gonna kill you. But the fact it was top 4 of Path of the Dominance 1. That's nuts.
That is kind of crazy.
Right?
Yeah. Cool. Year of too much damn product, which kind of dovetails with the year of Hasbro.
Yeah, like this is also aka the year of instead of I don't remember all the cars that came out this year, it's I don't remember all the sets / products that came out this year. Like
it's that one meme of like the skinny cow and it's like guy going up with the bucket of just it's Hasbro just milking Watsy until there's nothing left.
Yeah.
Okay, they have to slow down though, because you can only what's the math? It's like there's only like 150,000, or no, it's only 3, so there's only whatever 36 cubed is set codes, and so like they're gonna burn through.
There's only so many.
And then Magic's done.
And then it's done.
It's just finished, and we can all go home and be productive with our lives.
Close up the game store.
40,000 some odd.
Okay. I also have the year of Old Border, which
Hey, they revived it.
It's awesome. I caught the Old Border disease from this guy. I remember the days when I first started playing Magic. I was like, man, I just want the cheapest printing. Like what? It's the same. Yeah. It does the same thing as anyway, right? Like, why not?
I love how we have like the full spectrum where Reed doesn't even really care if he owns the card. I'm like, I want to own the card. I don't care about printing like
cheapest white paper you can buy at Staples.
And then we go all the way up to we gotta get the Old Border fancy whatever.
Yeah,
and then
Old Border, Old
Matt
Foil.
4 LEDs.
I'll build plenty of like $100 like fun decks, and then they'll cost $400 because I'm getting all the old
Yes.
Dude, the preferred printing functionality on Moxfield, I've just been like abusing that, man. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta get like the exact right preferred printing, and just seeing all of it like light up to the perfect thing. You don't have to manually adjust is awesome.
This is actually the year of you switching to Moxfield, huh?
Oh,
just barely.
Yeah. No,
good
dude,
one.
I've been
Gotta get the
importing
end.
all my stuff from Architect,
Yeah.
and it's a process, like 400 decks or something.
I mean,
It's
Voxels
crazy.
is just great though. Like the fact
It's
that
awesome,
the
yeah.
fact they like integrated like visual deck building back into it as well.
Just
so
did
you can
everything.
yeah.
Like so when it first started, I was like, I'm kind of happy with Architect, but just non-stop keeping updating new features, constantly listening to community feedback.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Yeah,
than
like
Mossfield.
operating like sort of like an actual startup rather than just like a website that was started by like 3 people or whatever.
yeah.
Like makes a huge difference. It feels like.
Maybe I'll make the switch then. I've still been using Architect basically permanently.
I think like
And the tools on there's like package feature, so like you can hit and you can get other people's packages or you can make your own, which is what I do. You can hit fetches, boom, loads up all your fetches, everything.
Because you literally had a similar
Nothing compares
idea.
to Lyndon's
Yes,
package.
yeah.
I'll take the biggest package.
No, dude, the real Gigabrain idea is that you just have like your package is like all the different cards. You just hit a single button and it just builds the full deck for you.
I actually I played around with that for a bit where they had I think they had like the auto build CDH mana base function still there.
Okay.
Like it before they like fully built packages into the website, there was a button in the drop down that was like add CDH mana base, and it would just like try to estimate the mana base for you. And I built a couple of decks when the packages first came out, and that button was still there off of just dragging in packages and building it out of the CDH mana base. It was like surprisingly decent. It was like I have to like swap like 10 cards out of this deck.
Was it this year that they added the collaboration on lists too?
I
think it
think
might
so.
have been,
Yeah, it might have been.
Dude, it has so many good
cool.
features.
Yeah.
Dude, because that way we can redistribute the cloud
No.
more
No.
evenly.
You see, it is still about owning the deck list because it doesn't contribute to your total views for your profile. So, dude, I'm robbed. The Frog Primer not on my box field. I think Stell has the Orvar Primer. Dude, so much clout lost.
Wait, did that even work on Tapped Out? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Which is why I was super happy that I got to own the I got to have the Urza primer on my Tapped Out for when it first came out.
Yeah, okay.
It's like-
Honestly, let's be real though. How could this year have been the year of clout?
No,
when
seriously.
this guy freaking had the UPS primer on his box,
on my Tapped Out thing.
Her
It
Tapped
has
Out.
not been migrated since.
but like, is this the year that was dominated by clout?
Okay,
I don't know.
I don't know. To be fair, building the Urza primer or like the Urza deck wasn't really a clout thing. It was more just I really, really want to get this deck into like a serviceable state before like people start just publishing like just unusable decks.
Yeah.
So that people can like have a
it's
reference.
funny
We
because
waited
that's
almost
not what he
30
was
minutes
saying
since
off
this.
camera. He was saying it was
Oh
about
man,
the
I had
views.
so many views on Tapped Out. Oh.
Tapped out views are the pennies of cloud. Also, I remember that primer coming out. That was like 30 minutes after the Urza spoiler, I swear to God.
It wasn't actually it was just a list.
Okay.
But, anyway.
Whoa, great idea. Chat GPT to write primers.
That'll work.
You should go ask ChatGPT to write you a
Shut down the
Garage Monster
stream.
primer.
Shut down the stream. Don't let anyone get this idea. I'm about to
Nuke
be
the VOD, nuke all the clips.
The richest clout, the most clouded CDH player of all time. Wow. Okay.
It's actually 2023 is actually going to be the year of
Follow
AI
for
generated primer and
Yeah.
CDH content.
Oh no.
We're gonna have people coming up with YouTube videos where all the scripts are written by ChatGPT. It's just gonna be...
Actually, I'm gonna be honest.
God.
It'll still be better than a lot of the primers I've read.
Oh,
Like,
God.
this is my primer. It's a 3-sentence description of the WinCon and a defense of the 2 of my 2 pet cards in the list and a funny picture with a caption.
That's all you need.
You know who you are.
Okay.
At the year of our single gameplay video,
That's it. I hope you enjoyed it. There's no more.
aka year of our gameplay just barely.
Yeah.
Just
barely.
barely.
We hopefully this coming year we get.
Yeah, we're
more
trying to get
videos
a
out.
bunch more, but we sort of got got hung up after the first one. I feel like we sort of rushed ahead, got all the stuff in place, and none of the pipeline was sustainable.
Yeah.
So like we had just enough oomph to get it like the first episode over the finish line, and then we're sort of having to like go back and like rebuild. Okay, like how do we actually like get episodes out with some consistency?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, a little disappointing considering at least 3 of us work in software.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a focus on
Definitely
sustainability and
is, like,
scalability
super,
seems important, but
I don't know, man. I press buttons, and doing editing is a lot of clicking.
that is true.
That is true.
That's not my core skill set.
You never trained in mouse accuracy. You're not like we need like a pro gamer to just
Yeah.
Yeah, you just do it. Click trainer.
Cool.
Oh, we have a Chat GPT written Gitrog primer in chat, Lyndon. If you'd like to read it out for chat.
Oh my god. To win with Gitrog Monster, players often use a combination of combo pieces to generate infinite loops or generate a large amount of value, such as using Dark Depths and Thespian Stage to create a 2020 Indestructible Merit Lage token, or using Necrotic Ooze plus Phyrexian Devour plus some form of infinite mana to deal infinite damage to opponents.
truth.
Yeah, you know what? I mean,
Right?
if you take the aggregate of like every Gitrog monster deck ever built and put it together, it's probably pretty close, right?
I think it's clearly been reading a lot of tapped out Gitrog lists. You know, that's
you gotta direct it at Moxfield.
I like how combo is quotes, but infinite is not quotes.
Yeah.
Infinite necrotic ooze,
Yeah.
Phyrexian Devour.
Well, infinite merit lodge.
Yeah. Well,
Single activation.
Oh, Adam, them's fighting words.
So Adam from
Actually, no.
Sadnod
Sorry,
says the year that Sacred Guide died.
So I would like to contend that it's not actually the year that Sacred Guide died, it's the year that Adam killed Sacred Guide. Love you, Adam.
Sorry,
big fan.
Speaking of Adam,
This
our
is
next year.
Adam 03 from
From Sadnaz. Wait, Adam, do you know Kian? Can you get Kian in chat? Huge fan.
Okay, so as I was saying, our next year is the year of new friends.
It is.
You know, so this was the year that we met Adam and
Yeah,
in
just
person.
a
We
bunch
got,
of people
got
this year.
super drunk. It was good times.
although-
Man.
where we really got drunk was Tier 1.
Yeah, that was a time.
Playing very, very drunk Dan until like 4 in the morning.
It's actually Tier 1 Con was basically an exercise in exactly what happens when you run a CDH event and then the hotel also doesn't close down all the public spaces soon enough, because we basically found like an offshoot like hallway that
nice.
had pretty good sound isolation, and the front desk couldn't really hear you from inside of it, and nobody came to check on us, so it was like literally just playing
We
like,
asked. I asked an employee. They're like, "Is there somewhere we can sit? We just want like tables and chairs, or could we pull them out of the hall?" He's like, he walks around to like a room that has like 6, tables,
Perfectly
each
set
with
up table,
4 chairs around it in a square. Like, would this work? I'm like, yeah.
I don't think there's anything better, actually. Wow.
But yeah, like honestly, I do want to say, like, as an actual thing though, like, super huge thanks to everybody that we met today at events online. It was just the number of new people that like got into CDH, but also got into like the content creation space and the tournament space and all that stuff, and just like
And a bunch of them are cool too.
Yeah,
That helps.
It's just like it's been awesome meeting all of you guys, all of you peeps, and I hope to meet new people in 2023 because it's a great time.
Yeah, the format is growing like crazy.
Yeah.
We were talking about speaking of tournaments and stuff. Punt City went live today and sold out within a couple hours. Like crazy.
Rip.
Definitely. Yeah. Want to get out there. We'll see if it's possible. I think this is Lyndon's?
No, it's Matt's.
It's Matt's.
I didn't actually play a ton, so I think that contributed to the average tighter play, which is the year of tighter play. I think this is a very loose observation of mine, but it felt like people were playing better decks and therefore learning more about their decks, and so
I definitely noticed that at tournaments. I think a lot of people, there's a much lower rate of pet decks at tournaments. They're still there, obviously, like they are at every tournament, but a lot of people I encountered had switched to, you know, what was perceived as a meta deck for the tournament.
And also,
and
like,
it seems like people are, you know, maybe taking it a little bit more seriously, and we might be shaping up into a bit more of a cohesive meta rather than vague perceptions and then people just doing what they want.
I'm trying to keep the pet deck dream alive. Okay.
I mean, I played against Ragadraga at Oktoberfest, so the pet deck dream, very much alive.
Did it have a Panglacial worm in it?
It absolutely had. I almost got some nuts Ragadragon across my face, but.
It was honestly though, like even aside from people picking up like quote unquote meta decks and like playing like stuff that isn't completely pet, like I feel like the tournaments that I've gone to this year, like the average play level of the pod has been a lot higher too. Like I'll go into a pod with like a bunch of people that I've never met before and I have no idea who they are and I don't even know if they're on like a Discord or whatever, and like they'll introduce me to like they'll like introduce themselves with their names and their usernames, and I like have not heard the username before, and I don't know who they are, and they play just incredibly tight Magic in a CDH tournament environment, and it's just like awesome to see because like it's
we used to think that only Discord names could play tight Magic, but he's like, slowly learning. Don't worry.
It's obviously like sort of nice to be able to like pick out everybody in the room that you think is going to play well, and then just like play off of that. But it's even cooler to have like people just come out of the blue. You've never heard of them before, haven't made it out to a tournament before, and just like playing super tight CDH, have a really good idea of what's going on in the format, like know how to play their deck, know how to like play against other people's decks, and like especially having people as well, like a couple of people this year as well in tournaments just being like, hey, I don't know how that works or what that does. Like, can somebody explain to me like what happens here so that I can like play against it? And like that's great to see, because like one of the biggest problems of playing in tournaments is like it sucks when you're playing against experienced people, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna refresh everybody's information on this, and I know all of you probably know how this works, but I'm going to walk through it again just so that if anybody doesn't. And it just takes up a bunch of time and a bunch of mental energy, and like if you can like go into tournaments and people are just like, I know how this works, like I have a reasonable understanding of all of this, and it just makes it so much better.
Except when it comes to Sackashima.
No. But I had someone at Oktoberfest say, like, we're sitting down, they go like, hey, turn to the other two players in the pod, I don't know how to interact with Kark Sakashima, so like, you know, help me out here when shit's going down.
Great,
It's like, yes, more of that, please.
I was gonna say, I think you know, you're talking about people coming in and playing tight. I think it is just that, you know, a lot more tournament CDH is kind of happening now, and so people who've been playing in their local groups, and you know, might be playing for a long time. Because I know before, you know, we started going to tournaments and stuff. I think we'd gotten pretty good at playing just from our local group, right? Yes.
How does this happen?
I played almost exclusively Trice for like the first 2 years, 3 years of playing
Tier 1
so.
qualifier.
But then you just kind of show up to the tournament and you just kind of kick some ass.
Nice.
Cool. And we talked about Year of Twitter. That goes along with Year of Discourse.
Actually, I liked how I think it was Josh that said it. I want to credit this correctly. Yeah, Josh said it. I love this quote: the year of talking about CDH more than playing CDH.
Oh god, I'm so guilty.
Come on, man.
No, I don't
That's
think
mean. Although Tom also had a good point with year of monocolored tournament results.
Yeah, no, seriously. I think we got
more than a few.
Yeah.
Did we get every color? I think we got every color, right?
There was a Yeva this year,
right?
I
don't think a mono white deck won anything.
We got Magda, we got Yeva, we got Teferi, we got Crick, because Crick won a Climax.
I don't think a mono white deck won anything. There were some top fours.
Okay, but like still, like seriously, like mono decks just like taking it all.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love to see that. Kind of
black.
You know, I don't want to see CDH become. We were talking about like the trend of getting a more kind of established meta. I really don't want to see CDH just become a bunch of 4 or 5 color decks.
Oh no, so I think probably, at least my view of like what a really healthy CDH meta looks like is that like there are a lot of people consistently playing the 4 and 5 color decks, but there's a very large section of the player base also committed to brewing new stuff, playing 2 color, 3 color commanders, 1 color commanders. Just so like I think it's like in a really healthy place when there's a benchmark that you know that you're going to see every tournament and that you can metagame against, because like when it's only like 3 color and under decks, it feels like you're sort of like, it's just sort of a shot in the dark in terms of like, I don't know what hate I need to play, I don't know what interaction I need to play, because I don't know what people are going to be playing, so I just have to like play general.
It's also,
I mean, yeah, the metagaming is nice in theory, but you know, Oktoberfest Finals had 16 colors and 8 commanders, and that's not the most uncommon.
I also think that, like, you know, a lot of the people who are making top 16s and stuff with Blue Farm and or other kind of 4-color decks, I think they could be doing it with other decks, because a lot of these people are just really skilled pilots.
Yeah.
And I would hope that some of them get, you know, brave enough to test the waters, but I understand why they wouldn't.
Have you been following Ian's like entrances event this year?
Yeah, he's played a
bunch
he's been
of stuff. One with
Tibbet,
there's
tons
doing really well
of
with like
people who are doing
Winota,
that.
plus like lower color Jetmir.
Yeah. I'm not saying that those people don't exist. I just hope that there's more people who do that.
Sure.
You know?
But, you know, is it as good as top 4ing with Tazri Zerda, the greatest CEDH deck? Hey, that deck is 3-1 and or 3-0 or 3-1 and 1 in tournament, I think.
That deck might be the worst deck to ever top 4. Not in terms of card quality, but in terms of nobody would ever willingly play that deck in tournament if they weren't forced to. Whereas, like the 1-color decks might have really bad card quality, but can like still steal wins. That deck is like probably objectively more powerful than a lot of like monocolored strategies, but it's just terrible. It's so bad, and nobody would ever willingly subject themselves to
it. Cool. So we've got this last one here. Whose is this?
Oh, this one was me. This is the year of no bad cards, and I will not elaborate further.
Okay. Well, it's the year of no bad cards.
I'm just
no elaboration.
That's all.
I'll put the
Before we round this out, let's see if there was any others from chat that we.
Yeah, let me read.
I like the year of 1K proxies.
Adam with the Savage, the year of snow basics. For when I got, my match loss.
Oh no!
for answering the Sphinx's riddle incorrectly.
Yeah.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
Oh, that was brutal.
The year that White got good. Yeah, I think White actually gained a fair amount of ground this year in terms of like not mono White, but like the White card pool in general. I feel like we got a lot this year. I mean, Archivist was really nice. We got like Soul Rend or whatever, Soul Partition.
I feel like people started playing white cards more than we got good new white cards. Like, those cards are fine, but like,
you guys can keep talking. I'm gonna go search this up.
I'll just start reading some of these. Zach with the year of the hiatus. That's a good one. The year that DJ Yavamai, the year that Sylvan Library destroyed the community.
That seems a tad hyperbolic.
Keegan, the year with the most 2s in a long time. Dude, we did the 2v2.
100% true.
That was great.
That's a budget year.
Oh, come on, Leah. It's Ogma nuts. Ogma balls doesn't flow the same way.
Year of Twitter threads. The year of Universes Beyond. The year that Tashara plays top 16 for once. The year of Anti-Blue. The year of Gitrog doing absolutely nothing, which is every year.
That's not true. I top 4'd last year.
Will 2023 be the year that Keegan and Zach have their scheming symmetries?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Honestly, at this point, it's funnier just not to give
it to them, yeah.
Azrael, the year I want to cradle on the last day.
Just to show them on camera, yeah. Actually, 100%.
Year of Database, year of Teamer Rocks.
No. It was the year of the what is it? The debatable database. Debatable
the debatabase.
Yeah, the database. Jesus. Your Morgan gave me flashbacks to Oath of Gatewatch Standard. Would you like to elaborate?
That was like
Oath of Gatewatch Standard. Oh no.
Eldrazi? Gideon ally of Zendikar?
Who knows?
I genuinely don't know what this is saying. I'll need some elaboration.
I'm not answering that, Matt. You can answer that.
This looks
I don't have to do anything.
I'm not getting liquid.
The year of WotC exploitation and greedy business. Magic 30. Yeah.
Year of comedian. Yeah.
It was an Ian year. I think if we cap off the year, it's probably. I think it's the Ian year for tournament CDH rather.
Radioactive is an instrumental by Waterflame. Sorry, so nice try.
Year with $1,000 proxies. And the year couldn't keep up with Secret Layers. Yeah. Cool. Those are some good. We've got some good ones.
Yeah, there's some pretty neat ones in there.
Cool. So next up, we're gonna briefly cover some decks that lost popularity.
We probably should have put a bit more pre-thought into this topic, but
answer.
we can have Chad just yell the correct answers at us as we stumble our way through what we have written down. So
yeah.
Yes.
Wait, okay, Adam. The year that people realized Cody isn't fun, that's bullshit.
We realized it before we even
knew. That's so clear. Hour that Profane Tutor was spoiled.
That's why last year was the year of Cody for a weekend.
That was the weekend of Cody.
Yeah, no, there was no secret.
You lose to that deck once, and you're like, that was the stupidest thing.
In our tournament report, didn't we beg people not to play it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Have you read my primer?
Yeah.
The primer says don't play it unless you're playing it in a tournament.
Okay, but how long until people start treating a Winota at the table like they treat a Cody at the table? Honestly, that's what we really need.
It's unreal. Yeah. People just like,
oh, there's a Winota. Best I get a better hard mull to an answer.
Dude, it's people need to start playing more Thrasios, Tymna, Hermit Druid stuff, literally just so they can hard mull to Gilded Drake to take the Winota and like it actually be a profitable play. Seriously.
Cool. So decks that lost popularity. We have Stax decks that aren't Winota, and Morgan, I think this was your point. So
yeah, it's getting rough out there for Stax decks that don't have like very dedicated and quick win cons.
Yeah.
Because if you're just trying to like dirtle at all, you just
trying to do battlefield based stuff. Like I'm trying to like dominate the board. Like how are you dominating the board?
You're like, okay, cool, yeah. Well, while you're doing that, my whole team has +2/+2 and double strikes. So and half of them are indestructible. So have fun with that.
I feel like this is a good thing, guys. I don't know.
Stax doesn't exist?
No, that people aren't playing win-conless stacks, or at least people who are playing win-conless stacks are realizing they can't win.
Okay, but it's also a problem that there's no stack. It's like almost impossible to support Null Rod in stacks. That's like the real problem.
Yeah.
But I'm not even necessarily saying like win-conless stacks, because like even stacks decks that have like slightly slower, safer win cons, like you know, when you do Razaketh stuff, it's just like often way too slow.
Yeah.
The
year that Stax loses its
or the thing with Razaketh is that, or like those kinds of decks, is they're often actually do care about what stacks your opponents have.
Yeah.
Because you try to create your own stacks, so that can be a problem.
Yeah, you need like dedicated win cons that beat the stacks win.
Decks that play well under other people's stacks tend to just get run over by Winota.
Actually,
I think like the one exception to that is basically Blue Pod, which is why I've
just because it
playing
actually
it every once in a while,
you can actually kill people.
Have creature-based win cons that Winota doesn't stop well and don't need to care about rule of law.
Yeah, instead I just don't. Yeah, it's going to be hard to imagine this changing at all, because Winota is just, I think,
it would take Winota seeing large amounts of play in casual circles for anything to change. I think just because it's like the deck's never going to get any worse, because people just like, even if you print answers to it, people have to play the answers to it, which is like very realistically giving up percentage points no matter what those answers are, because unless it's like 0 mana, counter target spell, like then everybody's playing that, and you're not burning it on the Winota coming down, you're burning it on something else, right? So like
Blue Farm could play Containment Priest.
There's probably more cards getting printed for Winota than there are answers for Winota being printed.
The problem is that like the premier, or like one of the premier win cons is Breach, right? So anything that's
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, people are probably gonna be, if you're not on Breach or Winota, then Cage just seems like, it's not going to be like Hulk. It was with Hulk.
But the issue is that you also can't be in green, because if you're in green with creature tutors, you also can't support Cage, right?
Yeah,
so it's like you have to be in like non-green, non-Breach, non-Winota. What deck is that?
I played an Orvar.
I mean, it's like Malcolm Tymna that I'm playing right now, but that deck's not tournament viable. Like, what are we doing? Okay, I will agree, DJ. Gravedigger's Cage is the truth. It's a fucked up card. I think like people should be playing Cage, but again, what deck can you play Cage in?
Maybe it's the Prismatic Bridge. Maybe that's a real Stax deck.
Hateball? Hateball?
Hateball? The return of Hateball? We have, what, 3 cages now?
That's nowhere close. Well, no, you can't support it in...
You can't support the creature cage.
No.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I guess you can't support actual cage, but... No, you just go all planeswalkers, huh?
Like, does creature cage stop Winota?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No, sorry, creature... Sorry,
Like
the
the new
creature-based cage does not, no.
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 Sag.
Orvar.
It's in Orvar.
Yeah, it's also in Yorion.
I also I made
it's
the
in all the
incredibly
Jank
evil
decks.
deal.
Yeah.
I made an incredibly evil deal with Orvar and Grafdigger's Cage where I said I'd bounce my own Grafdigger's Cage if they whatever it was that they did.
Oh, that's so evil. That's so evil. That's so evil.
That's so messed up.
That's unreal. That's so scummy.
Dude, they're gonna bring that up in your trial.
That's going to the eulogy.
You know what? Yeah, straight to hell with me.
Read, you last minute added this.
I did, because I think this is actually more true than the point after it. Timur Malcolm, like, died over the course of the year. Like, it didn't die, like, at the beginning of 2022, but, like, people, like, played it at, like, Marchesa and Punt City, and then in the second half of the year, people were like, oh, this deck's unplayable in tournament. Okay, we're gonna go play, like, actual decks instead.
Yeah.
It's like Cody, but it can't deal with even half as much
Yeah,
focus.
exactly. I don't know. Like, the deck is fine on it in terms of, like, a raw power level scale, but, like, you just, like, it doesn't really have a niche that it fits, right? Like, the niche that it fits is it's a sort of turbo deck that can play into Rule of Law, except whenever you're playing in an open meta, the Rule of Laws are almost always accompanied by collector roofs and by just, like, things that make it very annoying for you to, like, actually execute that combo, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
Or just removal in
it's
general.
a bit of a
like,
rough one.
Timur Malcolm died because the call convinced people to stop playing. You know what? Good on them.
Rightly so.
Morgan, I think it was yours.
I guess, yeah. Thrasios in tournaments, though this is a bit of a caveated one. I think it is going down in popularity, though it is maintaining relatively strong results.
Yeah, like
there'll be not too many Thrasios Tymna players at a tournament.
I think like the
Thrasios something
the
players.
conversion rate feels like it's very good. It's just that there's not like a number, like there's not a whole lot of like raw entrants for Thrasios decks a lot of the time.
Sad, man.
I do want to see.
Feels better than activating Thrasios.
That is true.
It's truly the best thing to do.
I do want to. I do want to see more Thrasburg stuff. Because
for sure.
both Morgan and Ian have had a lot of success with the commanders. I think that either Blue Pod or Dawnwaker, like one of the two is usually for any given tournament, one of the two is pretty well positioned.
Yeah.
I think like adding Dockside to Thrasios is like super important. Having consistent access to, like be able to consistently tutor for Ranger Captain as well as tutor for like win cons and value pieces is like super important.
Yeah.
I think like the one thing that is probably stopping me from switching right now is, well, first of all, Tymna, because Tymna is like busted card. I'm always going to say Tymna is like, I think, just the best commander in the format as a standalone card. Like I think like pairing Tymna with stuff just makes decks like insanely good. Aside from that, I just like I want like a Dawnwaker win con that wins through Rule of Law, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Right? I mean, you have like Druid Swiftwreck.
You like sort of, yeah, but you have to make concessions to like mana based.
Oh, you can play the
right?
you can play the what's it called? The version with Knight of the Reliquary and
God, I'm not. If any of you ever catch me playing Return to Korlheim in a CDH deck, I want you to shoot me in the head on the spot.
I mean, Sans Black could do it.
Yeah, like if it ever gets like a decent like win con that wins through Rule of Law like on the spot without like strings attached, having to like besage the thing after drawing your deck or whatever, like go through like jump through hoops to get like a Sunscorched Desert loop going. I think I'd be like super okay with just switching that as like my full time.
My hot take was that instead of Sunscorched Desert loops, you're actually better served by playing a Titan and a Radiant Solar, which you could discard to venture into the dungeon.
Nice.
Do you even play? You have to. I was thinking, like, can you just like play Guy's Blessing instead? But no, you're not milling it anyway.
Cool. And the last one, that decks that lost popularity, I put down Pet Decks, which is sad.
Oh dear.
That being said, like, It depends, like, because there's a delineation here between like low color decks and pet decks. Because like I feel like people have sort of been like putting like more experienced people who are like going to more tournaments now are sort of putting their pet decks off to the side and like going for like good stuff. People are still playing a whole whack load of like low color stuff and like sort of fringe commanders and stuff in tournaments.
I mean, like, we also play pet decks. We just don't take them to tournaments generally.
Yeah, no, I meant in like tournaments, and I already talked about this a bit, but yeah, no, I want like, because also it's something like, I think there's just, with so many new commanders coming out, we need people. I mean, we could just have, all the brain power and CDH working to find the last different slot in fucking Blue Farm, but that's not interesting. I think it's much more cool when we get people brewing a bunch of different stuff all over the place.
I did my time brewing every commander as soon as it released, and the community did not appreciate it, so I'm off that.
I'm not saying you need to brew. You need to do that. What I'm saying is, pick something that's really interesting that maybe not a lot of people are doing, and tune it up, and put out a list and see if.
Only Reed could paint himself as the victim of his own cloud farming.
It's a skill, okay? It's a skill.
For a second, I was feeling sorry for him. Like, oh man, wow, man, that sucks, buddy.
I am sorry. Before we get into the next section, I am going to grab a beer. Matt, would you like one?
I think I'm good, actually. Yeah, thank you.
Why isn't everyone taking Baral, the true answer to Rogsai? I mean, it basically is. Like, you just hold up interaction, and then their life is very difficult.
I mean, if you enjoy drawing games, maybe...
Oh, yeah. No. You take it there to torch the Rogsai player's chance of winning. That's not how you actually...
The Baral, the time I took Baral to a tournament for the qualifier and actually, like, almost made the finals, was, like... It was extremely lucky. Like, there was it was lucky that I was able to close games within the window. It was crazy. But, yeah, dude, that's... as much as I'd love to take Baral,
I can't decide if tournament rounds need to be longer or people... I mean...
No, they don't.
People just need to... Okay, I guess what I'm saying is...
I want a bit more time.
People need to play faster.
Yeah.
Given that that's not going to happen, do tournament rounds need to be longer?
No, what they need to do is they need to stop counting the mulliganing and shuffling and all that stuff in round timer.
But but there's also the issue here of, like, it's not just that people need to either play faster or we need to increase round times. Like, there does need to be, like, better enforcement in terms of, like, slow play, right? Like, that's the other axis to this.
Yeah, if I've reminded people, like, hey, listen, can we pick up the pace, blah, blah, blah. I want to get to my turn before turns are called because I'd like to make it... It's like, and, you seem like a massive dick if you do that, and it's really unfortunate, but...
It is definitely a problem in 4-player, like...
Yeah.
The social nature of the format means that the person who calls the judge over to ask their opponent, like... If you're in 1v1, if your opponent's annoyed that you call the judge to watch them for slow play, who cares?
Great.
But it kind of does matter if the two other people in your pod are annoyed that you called the judge to watch someone for slow play, and it's a little rough.
Cool. Well, that wraps up our Decks of Lost popularity section, and we've got a new high impact card section. So, well, okay, we've got it's a multiple section. There's lots of shit here. It's a table. Okay. So we've got topic 1, which is new cards, and we kind of selected. We went through like all the sets this year.
Yep.
We picked out some kind of key ones that are like these are for the 99. Then we want to kind of like highlight and talk about a bit. Then we've got new commanders, and then we have a section that we're just going to completely scrap. And then and then we have our last section, which is the best decks end of year.
Yep.
So, first things first.
I'll head through a couple of these.
New cards. So, I'll go first.
It's going to be like Snake.
I mean, let's just go in the order that's on here.
Let's just do that.
Yeah. So,
Podcast order.
podcast order. I wrote down Beseiju and Odawara, which have been honestly very, very impactful. It gave just about every deck tools to answer things uncounterably. And through silence, through rule of law.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that...
Just universal removal.
The fact that it just, like, made Grand Abolisher, like, so much less of a card is actually unreal. Like, it was, like, 2 printings, and suddenly Grand Abolisher is, like, way less valuable.
Yeah. No, like, the... And I really liked... so... Beseiju obviously is just kind of great in every deck. Same with Otawara, largely.
Otawara seems
Less
like a
so,
bit
but-
harder to fit into a lot of decks, but
Yeah,
I think
people find the space for
basically
it.
anything that can run Beseiju probably should be at this point.
Yeah. One thing I really find interesting is the kind of interaction it has against Breach, where Breach kind of had this thing going where removal was kind of bad against Breach.
Because you stock Breach up enough, and then you have like a pact in your graveyard, or like just like anything in your graveyard.
Yeah, and now with Beseiju, all of your counter spells don't do shit. You need, deflecting swat.
Yeah.
So like it's gotten to the point where in Riel, Beseiju is such a problem because I go so all in on my Breach that I run Bolt Bend. Just as another way to stop the.
So this is a just like huge reason to just start running. What is it called? Sterling Grove in your Breach decks, right?
No.
So this is why we play Night Darker, right? So you can play Sterling Grove in your Breach, and then before
I had a quadruple protected instant speed win that got Beseiju, and I was like, man, this sucks.
Do you think they're ever going to print like Super Silence? Where it's like
no abilities at all. Period.
Yeah.
Didn't they? I feel like they already did that, didn't they?
I mean, almost all of them specify permanent types, mostly because you can't ever shut off lands, or it becomes way too easy.
Yeah.
You play like the thing that's your opponents sack a permanent unless they pay one. And it's like, oh, you can't activate abilities of lands. So.
If you specify like non-mana abilities or something. Anyone have anything else to say about Beseiju and Otawara? I think they might be the actually most impactful cards printed this year.
Of the ones on our table, definitely, I think.
They're also like sort of like it. They lead to some unhealthy play patterns, but to me, they feel like overall positive introductions to the format.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like,
I'm in favor of as many cards as possible that are answers that can't be used to defend your own.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, where it's like
that is not a class of cards
like
that I'm too worried about them missing high on.
There is the problematic like other side of the coin, which is like being able to like uncounterably remove a rule of law. Like after casting a spell is a bit of an issue, or like uncountably remove stacks pieces and like making it hard to like play a permanent based game because of them, like even with like blue interaction backing it up. But I think it's like super outweighed by like being able to interact with people's win cons, like basically unconditionally, like no matter what they try to do ahead of time, unless they have a SWAT or something, you can just like no thanks.
Cool. Matt?
My pick for this year is Archivist of Ogma, and I feel like that just goes with my plan for every single one of my decks, which is to just draw a shit ton of cards and value hard.
This is a card that I like. I saw it, and I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's pretty meh," and I was like, "It seems decent." And then I've seen some games where it's like, "Oh, it drew 12 cards." Like
it's under the radar.
It's so rarely bad when it like lasts a turn after it comes down. Like the longer games go, the more unavoidable it is that you're just like, well, I just have to fetch because like I just like need to get my mana and get stuff out of the way.
It's actually and it's below the threshold of something like Ristic Study Remora, where you're like, I can't, I need to progress through the game.
Yeah.
Like, and so with Ristic Study, at least if you're really concerned, you can pay for it.
Yeah.
But people will try and remove it.
Yeah.
Ogma is like under that threshold where it's like you're not going to remove an Ogma, and you can't really
you mentally dismiss it immediately because you don't have to think about paying for it.
There's also the added layer on it as well, right? Where like if you're trying to play around Ogma, it's always in the back of your mind, like, okay, like the longer this delays me from casting my tutors and getting them out of the way, the longer that somebody has to draw into Op Agent. Yeah. And then suddenly they don't exist anymore. So like I need to get at least some of these tutors out of my hand and like done and get like the cards that I actually need before that comes down.
What do you like better, Ogma or Mind Sensor?
I like Ogma better right now, honestly. Like I think if I could play, like, if I could play Op Agent in the same deck, I think that gives so much, like, the first copy is worth so much, and then you would much rather have, like, the value engine as a second piece rather than, like, a worse version of the first effect.
I think I like Mind Sensor a bit better. But
I think I agree with Reed. I'd play Op Agent plus Ogma over Op Agent plus Mind Sensor, but if I could only play one, I'd probably play Mind Sensor.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I have a hard time, like, trying to tie my Mind Sensor with like Archivist, you just play it and you
you sort of like, even if somebody doesn't have like a fetch,
like,
right, you just like slam it out and then you just like keep playing the game and you just have a thing in play.
honestly, my hot take is also just slam your mind sensor.
Yeah, that
That's
too.
probably right. Yeah.
Op agent, like there's something to be said about that, but like mind sensor, yeah, you just
Yeah,
like
op agent.
slam it down and.
Take fetches all the time.
Oh yeah, no, the same.
I know
yeah.
people who don't.
Good,
Man, someone at a Oktoberfest who held their op agent for my Yison activation on 1 and let it was either a DT or a vamp resolve. I was like,
Yep.
Reed.
Cool. Yeah, so mine is going to be Vivian on the Hunt. I think it's just an awesome card to have been printed for like a reasonably broad range of decks. I mean, the strategies are all like relatively similar, right? Like it's just pod stuff, but Vivian giving, like specifically, obviously, like Minsk being able to now use like Arena Rector as a 1-card win con, and then like Beastly being able to because like a lot of Minsk lists just aren't even on Hulk anymore because you can just Academy Rector for Arena Rector for Vivian and then kill them through that, which like super reduces the size of your package, and then also you just like have manual key stuff going. But yeah, just like the fact that it gives you, it just like gives a lot of these decks like another piece of like 1-card win con, plus the fact that you don't need additional mana and like it works through your own null rods is like huge. Like we haven't had a pod that works through null rods unless you're playing like Vanifar, which you need to untap with, obviously. So the fact that you get like it's this like win con, this additional new win con for decks that were already playing this entire package that does the same thing as the things they were already playing, except it also bypasses the stacks that they were playing.
You heard it here first. Reed is endorsing Rector Fit.
God. I do like I agree. I think it was I think Ian in his tier list said that like Minsk is like one of the most under talked about decks for how good it is and the results that it's been putting up over the past year or so. Just where it's like where like that deck very, very consistently does its thing, which is like I'm going to cast this creature spell, which is very hard to interact with, and if you don't interact with it, you're gonna die. And it's 1 card, and it's incredibly accessible. I'm going to do it every game, and I always have the additional creature as well to put the pattern on. So, like, can you deal with this? No, you die.
Yeah.
And I think, like, it's a very good place to be to just, like, have a deck with that much redundancy and, like, super linear, and then you can also... It's, like, I think the part that doesn't get talked about for that deck specifically is that it's super tunable to your meta as well, right? You can play in a very fast manner. You can just shove rituals into there, play, like, Orcish Lumberjack, Tinderwall... just like all that kind of stuff, or you can take it very stacksy. You can play like, I can just play Rule of Loss in this deck. It wins through Rule of Law. I can play Oof. I win through Oof. I have like Deafening Silence. I can play like just all these stacks pieces and slow you down as well and do this.
Cool.
I guess that leaves me.
Morgan.
My card is Soul Partition. This was one we thought we were being a little aggressive on when we did our Disperse tier list, putting it at the very top of A, but having now played with the card, it's awesome. It's just the perfect uptuning of a Disperse, of a bounce spell that, like, it works, it has some situational upsides. It has, the 2 tacks on your opponents feels a lot closer to removal against certain kinds of things than a lot of other bounce spells have in the past, where it's like, oh, I'll bounce, I don't know, I'll bounce this 2 mana thing, and it's like, cool, well, I'll replay it, it's 2 mana. But now, and like when you're bouncing cheap stuff, you're getting like, it's card disadvantage, but mana advantage, but a mana advantage of like 1 or 2. But when you add that 2 mana tax on, you get a much larger mana advantage. You can lock things under Dranith. You can steal your own stuff back from time to time.
Yeah, it's great. Being able to
sweet.
Like, the fact
Soul
that,
Partition your Gilded Drake. Let's go.
the fact that you can like the fact that you can like Soul Partition a Soul Ring and it makes it mana negative the turn they want to recast it and do stuff is like that type of thing is like super impactful in my opinion.
Yeah, subtle but definitely impactful. It is kind of interesting that just slightly better bounce spell is a
also
card
it's white.
That's worth mentioning
That too.
this year.
Yeah. The fact that it's
talked
white.
about them all.
Except I realized we forgot Consigned to Oblivion.
We did, which
which is the Aftermath one. I think because all our searches were CMC gated, and its CMC is 7 because of the Aftermath.
Yep. We should have done the mana search instead. M equals 1 blue.
So I think I still have an open promise to make a deck with Charter Course or whatever. Is that the one?
Which one?
Or not Charter Course. The one that the Disperse that also lets you make a creature unblockable.
You come to a river.
You come to a river, yeah. Not chart course, yeah.
Cool.
I mean, you're contractually obligated to make it good.
Yeah.
So some other new cards that we like, some highlights that came out this year, and we can talk about some of these if anyone wants to. We've got Mind Goblin, Clown Car, Calamity's Wake, Haywire Might, Relic of Legends, Ledger Shredder, Professional Facebreaker, Offer You Can't Refuse, March of Swirling Mists, and Swift Reconfiguration.
And Displacer Kitten.
And Displacer Kitten.
Yeah.
True.
Page breaks.
Yep. One that I just want to say is like Haywire Might is I kind of just love this card. Like I'm a big fan of like really simple cards that can, you know, they're not flashy, but they will like change a deck or make it more playable. So like Haywire Might and Yisan, the fact that you now have artifact enchantment removal. So I mean, you already had Caustic Caterpillar, but the thing with Yisan is the way the curve works is on when you're verse 1, you're gonna have 1 spare mana.
Yeah.
And like Caustic Caterpillar unplayable, Haywire Might, all of a sudden now you have a great toolbox, or another great piece in your toolbox.
And it also it's I really love the way like it is an artifact, so it gets hit by Null Rod, and it only hits non-creature things, but it actually, like, both of those restrictions are pretty fine in most of the decks that want it. It's not as good if you're trying to remove, like, Rule of Law, like, you can't remove, like, Eidolon or Aethersworn Canonist, and you can't remove Null Rod or Stony Silence, but I feel like the decks that are actually interested in Haywire Might already don't really care about those, so it just fits really nicely in that slot.
I was also going to say, I thought you were getting to, like you were saying, I really like cards.
You're going to say Sentinel Stalwart? I love Sentinel Stalwart.
Oh, no, I was also going to say, London also just loves cube cards, and Haywire Might is very solidly a decent cube card.
Yeah, that's fair. Also on this list, March, I think, has been kind of like a bit of a house.
I have a love-hate relationship with that card.
it's so much of the time it's so bad, and then like there are some situations that no other card will get you.
That's what I love about it, right? It's like
honestly, I think Reed,
awesome.
Reed thinks it's better than he lets on. He just plays Yorion, so he's just trying to convince everyone.
I played it in Sacred Guide for like multiple months,
and then you went, "This is terrible. This card's awful. Everyone should cut it." Oh my god, because it just absolutely wrecks you when you play Yorion.
Offer You Can't Refuse. It's interesting that there's still discourse going around this one. People don't know where to fall in this. I am a big fan of this card. Because I mostly... The thing is, it's just so obvious. Just don't play it in decks where you want your counterspells to protect your combo most of the time. Like, if you're playing a bunch of low-to-the-ground counterspells just to protect your combo because you're trying to go fast, don't play Offer. If you're ever going to be playing the control role in the game, Offer is great.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been upset about getting offered, and that makes me not want to put it in my decks.
Actually,
I've never been upset. I think maybe only once I've been upset about offering someone. But I tend to play
the 4 games of CDH you played this year.
Shut up.
I think. Okay. Yeah, it's like. Yeah, the illustrative example that I'll always bring up is the time when I got double offered on the same turn trying to go for a win. And I was like, oh, cool. Abrupt Decay the Collector Roof win anyway because you gave me 4 mana back.
Also, like an offer can weirdly be like a color fixing or a ritual in like a Nas deck sometimes.
Yeah, it's
very
so
niche and you probably don't want to run
like
Nas decks.
You're playing
I mean, obviously it's great in Krug Sakashima, but
specifically, but like
anything else, I don't know.
I guess we did leave Son half off the list. Yeah. It's a cool card. I think it was sort of overhyped, and there was so long between when it was spoiled, because it was spoiled like 6 months in advance for some reason, and then when it actually came out, that like people weren't sort of actively brewing with it anymore by the time it came out. I have it in Anala, but I have like I'm super deep on flickers in that deck. I'm on basically all of them.
Ghostly Flicker, Essence Flux.
Yeah. So like I don't know that I haven't really wanted to play it in like any other deck other than obviously it combos in Cormella, but like people talking about it as a dockside doubler, it's so like dockside doublers are nice and all, but
dockside, man.
but like first of all, the regular ones are generally good enough already, and second of all, like they're playable because they do other things too.
Yeah. Like, it's, like, only playable in, like...
I mean, maybe
in terms of being a
outside
dockside
of
doubler,
blue,
like, it would have to be outside blue is what I'm thinking. Like, Horrible,
sure.
Rog Devesh. Does anybody even play that deck? I don't know.
Rog Devesh. I feel like people play that deck as a stacks deck for some reason.
They do.
I've
people
seen a deck list.
I've seen
people,
a deck list
people
too.
have also, like, people, I think, mostly build it as turbo, but, like, I don't get the draw. Anyway.
Cool. So we can move on to new commanders this
Yeah.
year, which, let's just say there was like 400 something new commanders printed this year.
If you count Acorn commanders, there are 423, I think, new commanders printed this
like
year.
300 and high 300s if you don't.
Yeah, it's something like
So-
It's like 20% of all legal commanders were printed this year or something.
Insane amount of commanders
Yeah.
printed.
Jesus.
And yet when we were coming up with this new commanders list, we were scrolling through all of them. There was like not many that were like kind of
actually like
standouts.
exciting or
Yeah.
like that like we really thought had potential / were like super cool.
So I'll start. Mine is Joda, a new Joda. I forget his full name.
Joda the Unifier? Joda the Unifier.
Okay, Joda the Unifier. And so my pick, I mean, Natural Crunch was... there we go. Joda the Unifier is mentioned by Natural Crunch in chat. So I was brewing this deck with Crunch inspired by Tom.
Tom top 16. Yeah, I played
he-
against him in top 16 of the Chaos 3? 4?
I wasn't there,
Two?
so I
Something like that. Anyway.
Okay. But yeah, so
Yeah.
Tom had this list.
Awesome
And,
list.
Yeah,
Super
like,
cool.
Really cool list,
Yeah.
great concept, and then Crunch was kind of interested, and it's like, okay, yeah, let's brew this, and we'll make some changes, see what's up. Really cool and interesting list. It's a kind of a deck that can win through combat very similarly to Winota, just pressuring
Yeah,
people
you
while
just
doing
sort of
a
like
stacks thing.
you just get like really large things very
Yeah,
quickly,
yeah.
like and sort of just for free. Like you're sort of just like casting the spells out of your hand, and then suddenly your board's like +6/+6, and you're like,
Yeah, and you've
all right.
also got like an Ashiok or a Narset,
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
some
yeah.
like
Or, like, you have, like-
Thalia, like impactful stack
you have, like,
pieces. Yeah.
Durevi or Nagila, or you have like both in play, or you have like a
Yeah.
Raga, like a 7/6 Ragavan attacking people, which I had happened to me in that game. It was just like, yeah, all right,
cool.
can't really block it.
Joda is a 5-color commander that I actually kind of like because also he isn't like Kenrith or Golos or Nagila or
Well, so first of all,
Sisay, where they're
It
just
costs all 5 colors.
it costs all 5 colors. It's hard to get into play, and when you do get him into play, he has an impactful and cool effect. But there is an actual cost to playing him, and it's not just you get this cheap awesome card and then you get all the colors as a just tag along. Yeah, Matt.
Yeah. My pick is Shorkai. So I think what drew me to Shorkai for my pick is I think for one I just have like I kind of just like artifact centric decks in general. I kind of am bored of this like meta dork type meta that we're kind of stuck in.
Dude, I know my lord.
only you have that problem because if you go to tournaments, it's not a mandatory. It's just because you play with us all
Just
the
because I
time.
play with these guys, but I mean I do play a lot of Thrasios decks. It does feel cheap sometimes, and then I also like Humility. I think that's really cool to see in any CDH deck.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's been the white whale, out there for a long time.
Yeah.
I thought this was it, man, but I think it does have its weaknesses, but it is a cool deck. So.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the other
Oh,
humility
Reed,
one...
do you remember our interaction with the Shorkai player at Punt City? It was when you and me were playing against each. It was you, me, a Shorkai player.
Oh yeah. that pile was not having a good time.
So
That was-
the first thing I did, I think Reed was going
Yeah.
first. I was going second.
Yeah.
I'm going second. I like get out a Riel turn 1 and immediately fire off a Burning Inquiry.
Yep.
Just rip
Rip all of his lands.
All of this. He didn't make a play for the entire game.
So bad.
And it was not a short game
No.
either. It
No,
was like
it
a
wasn't.
6 or
Yeah.
7 turn game.
Yeah.
He just did nothing. I played against a Shorkai player who packed it and then got rifted and could not pay for his
Yeah.
pact.
Oh,
And
It just Short Guy
happy.
seems like it's just people with very unfortunate luck sort of gravitate toward that deck. It feels like.
I think the biggest problem with that deck is that you're generally playing a pretty controlling role.
Yeah.
And being in a position where you have to destroy null rods while playing control sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it's so rough.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine, though, getting around humility and not having an artifact commander.
Yeah.
So
Well, so
we'll get there. But it has to defend itself.
the other one right now is
There we go.
Tavesh Ishai, right? Like Tavesh Ishai is the other humility deck, which is like I still think is like super hot, but
I'm not an Ishai believer, but
I'm sorry. I don't think the deck's good, but I think it's super. Like the fact that like both your commanders like synergize relatively nicely with humility is like pretty nice.
When they last one
you know the saying, like, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. It's like in the land of the 1/1s, the 3/3 is king.
Yeah, cool. So
Start playing like Pendelhaven.
did you see the spoiler of the
activations.
new Pendelhaven that got spoiled?
The new Pendelhaven.
Yeah, it's it gives target Phyrexian +1/+2.
They nerfed it.
No, because it's for,
Pendelhaven completed.
it's for modern infect because all the infectors
because
are
they're-
Okay,
Phyrexian.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so my pick for new commander of the year is Rocco.
Rocco's so cool, man.
I have this really weird thing where I like just detest playing Naya decks, but I love seeing them do well. Every time I play a Naya deck, I'm just like, this sucks. These colors do nothing. I'm just like trying to I'm trying to land an oof and just like survive for the next couple of turns. Or like do like Dargo Sidara stuff and just try to like dump my hand and do random stuff. But like seeing them do well is just awesome because it has historically been a really like underpowered color combination.
Remember when Marith was the best Naya commander?
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
Exactly.
Like,
Wasn't too long ago.
Depending on who you ask, that was not too long ago at all.
So it's just awesome seeing like especially stuff like Rocco get printed, which is like the axis that Rocco plays on is so different from every other Naya deck before it. Like it's not even like you're like is doing staple stuff with like a 10 card package. It's like no, like this completely alters
Pure
how you play
toolbox,
this
yeah.
deck. Yeah, you get to play like full toolbox. You get like Food Chain as like an actual combo that you can play as a 1 card combo with your commander, which is hot.
That's really cool.
Makes Dockside really nice, and like the number of ways that you can build Rocco as well is hot as well, right? So like you can do like Turbo Rector stuff where like you just try to get to 7, cast it, get a Rector, and sack the Rector, or you can play like Food Chain. You can play like full stacks and just go for like you can do like Amiel Dockside stuff. You can do like Kiki stuff. You can
so
do,
many possibilities. Yeah.
It's just really cool.
So why don't you say your real pick for your favorite Naya commander for this year?
This is what
Just say Jetmir, man.
Oh, Jetmir. I probably played too much Jetmir this year.
Which was like, what, 8-9 games?
There's more than that. I got myself into decent
More than
double digits, I
once.
think.
When was Minsk and Boo was printed or the Minsk whatever was last year, right? Yeah.
Minsk and
Minsk and Boo was this year.
This year,
But then Minsk
that's
the other
not
one.
the same thing at all.
Yeah.
So I guess my pick, which probably won't surprise many of you, is Rafine Scheming Seer. I think she is like for a commander that does one very specific thing. The fact that people built her 3 different ways and she worked all 3 ways is awesome. Like there's Stacks Rafine, there's like Tempo Midrange Rafine, Reanimator, Nas, like all of it works because she's just absolutely insane. You see so many cards. When I built her, I was like, I'll put in all these cute cards and like I'll cut the ones that don't work, and I was playing
all
like,
the cute cards
all
work.
work.
Yeah.
They all work.
And like I did not expect to be just murdering people nearly as often as I found myself murdering people.
Rafine is terrifying.
Oh yeah,
There was
no,
a funny
100%.
quote that you said. I don't know exactly, but it's like there's a point where like looting becomes card advantage. And that's
Yeah,
It's actually it's hilarious because I feel like Rafine has the Thrasios Timna problem of the commander is so good and sees you so many cards that it's just so hard to evaluate like what cards in the deck are actually good or not because you're just like I'm just seeing so much.
It's
every
even
game.
harder than Thrasios Timna because in Thrasios Timna, useless cards tend to get stuck in your hand, and so you play a bunch of games and you're like, man, this card is always in my hand. That means I'm never casting it. It's never doing anything useful. Whereas Rafine, you're like, oh, I don't want this right now. gone.
Yeah, you're incentivized to just play like cards with insane ceilings that might be situational because then you just pitch it or something.
Well, I mean, you've been thinking of like playing ley lines, right? Just because it's like, you just like put ley lines in the deck. If you have them on turn 0, you have them on turn 0. Otherwise, you just ditch them and get counters.
It's not the rest of you.
Cool. So then let's talk about or we can mention the
Innovations
other.
of
Hold on. Let's mention the other commanders that we have on this list.
Yeah.
So we have Evelyn, Falco,
Sort of.
Ivy. Pick Joda. Magar is a brew that I've been working on. Magar is super interesting.
So this is the Lyndon Cope list.
Yeah, no, this is, dude. These are the interesting, or some of these are interesting and one's worth brewing. I've actually brewed quite a few of these, or many of these are also on the list to brew. Maria, Maria is very cool.
It's cool, but it seems like I haven't seen a deck so far, and there have been a lot submitted to like the deck list database.
Holy moly, have there been a lot submitted to the
I've
deck list
seen a lot of
database.
Maria lists. I have yet to see one that feels like a cohesive deck. Like they
Yeah,
all,
no,
they all
That's
feel.
a challenge. Keep submitting your lists.
If you
double the number of Marias.
if you think that you have a great take on Maria, please.
The Maria lists will continue until morale improves.
But yeah, the commander's really cool. It seems like the options that you have to play the commander are really interesting. Like you can do like storm stuff, you can do like sort of more Saxy stuff. Obviously, like Winter Orb and Static Orb are like you do the Urza thing with them. But like it feels like nobody's really found the perfect intersection of like I'm gonna play good cards, but I'm also gonna play enough artifacts to actually make Maria work, and I'm gonna play like a bit of Cheerios or whatever. But
Yeah, because the thing is, just the artifacts, they're mana rocks that then can also be card draw. So it's so hard to figure out what the correct ratio is for those. Yeah, it's a deck that I think requires just a lot of gold fishing or just a fucking computer.
Or just
or
play testing on it. Because
Also, people not putting
to
in
figure out your primer.
the number of lists I saw that weren't on like all of the like battered golems of the world. I'm like, what are you doing?
No,
What are you doing?
You gotta be on all those for sure. Sten, which is the new Azorius Baral.
There's also new Urza as well for Sten. Which is
that's on here as well. Urza Lord Protector. Tameshi, another Azorius commander.
We actually have a Tameshi pilot in chat right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we have Azrael in chat.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Pretty sure we brought Tameshi to Oktoberfest, right?
Sounds right.
I think he played in a tournament, yeah.
Tivit. I know you had your brief stint with Tivit.
I did. Ian had an even more brief stint with Tivit and yet won a tournament with it, so good stuff to him.
Yeah, no. Tivit is really neat.
There's some dedicated Tivit pilots, and I actually really appreciate it. Just if only just so that we have Esper representation, because Esper's.
But you can play Rafine instead.
Here's maybe my hot take.
Yeah,
Tivit is just Esper Godo.
I mean, it's Esper Godo if Godo's. Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't follow.
Esper Godo comes with a connotation. Like Godo comes with a connotation of like also having a bad 99, whereas like Tivit definitely doesn't have that problem.
But just like, okay, I guess what I find like frustrating about that deck is just it's just like, can I get the Tivit out on like turn 2? Like that is like the only question that matters.
I don't know.
Commanders that cost a lot.
No, it's not though. It's really not. Like
I'm not sure that's true. Like I
feel
like
which commanders that cost a lot are you like? If I'm going to cast this turn 5, man.
Yorion.
Yorion is in its own category.
Excluding that Yorion
even something like, well, just like anything that doesn't refund you the mana, it's much less worth it. Like I don't play cards like Mana Vault and like Hullen. Sure. Setting aside, even if I wasn't on Null Rods, I wouldn't play them. Right? Like I'm happy to play that and still have mana and just keep doing stuff or whatever. Whereas with Tivit, it's like I want to get this down, and then it's just a game plan. Yeah. And also it's just frustrating because so much comes down to whether or not it resolves, because it's not even like with other commanders where you can either counter it or remove it, because you can't remove it because it has ward a billion.
4?
It's 3.
It's ward
3, but
3.
it might as well be a billion.
Yeah.
Ward is one
nobody's
of those...
paying 3.
Ward is actually, I really like the design of Ward.
I think Ward is interesting just because it's hexproof until somebody has spent so much time in the game establishing their mana base, they're just like, I don't care about this anymore, just get it out of here.
Dude, it's funny that Rafine's Ward 1 basically makes it... Well, I mean, also the fact that Rafine puts counters... Rafine puts one counter on itself, it will never die to Thrash Toggle Rocks, ever.
Yes, I will...
You don't have, I don't have 9 mana to equip and throw 3 rocks, idiot.
It's truly remarkable. Yeah, so then we've got Vohar, which is one that's... Vohar's quite... You
It's cool, yeah. It's,
like, that's why I'm not...
I actually can't picture
seen
Vohar.
I stopped playing it, not because it was... Like, not because it wasn't cool or wasn't powerful or whatever, but just because, like, I get sort of bored with,
It's a pretty linear kind of deck, right?
It's powerful. It's not cool.
No, it's got, like, it's... In terms of, like, playing blue-black, like, it's... The play patterns are, like, there's more dynamics to the play patterns than there are, like, with previous blue-black communities, where it's like, cool, Cirque, I don't care about you until I need the outlet. Cal's great. I don't care about you until I have a whatever that I'm doing. Toxrill, I don't care. I have to get to 7 mana. We'll get there eventually, but when I do, I just win the game if this sticks.
Okay, but like, is Kess cool? Like,
maybe when
sure,
it was
but like
first
Vohar having the loot
actually true. Yeah.
actually makes it like sort of more interesting to me. Like there's like some amount of interest in terms of like, oh, do I want to sack it now for the 2 mana to get this like cantrip back or like this value piece back, or do I save it for when I want tutor? Do I have enough time to like start using it as a snapcaster now? For the looting, like, do I go for, like, a containment construct early so that I can, like, start the value train going? Or do I, like, go for, like, whatever else, right? I don't know. And the fact that you actually get to play a bunch of different win cons, too. Like, you could play Hullbreaker Horror in the list if you want to, but even without that, like, you can play Dramatic Scepter, like, Dramatic Reversal, Icecrown Scepter, you can play Thassa's Oracle, you can play Doomsday. Has a really clean Doomsday pile.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, like...
is this... You're making a great case that it's powerful.
I think it's
It works
interesting
with all the best win cons and Asper and Dimir.
It's interesting for the right person. I'm not the right person.
Okay, if you feel like you can't get it off twice in a game, like very consistently, then I understand why you'd be pretty meh. But I think if you get 2 recasts,
I think it's comfortably the best Dimir commander.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's particularly interesting.
No,
like
it
I think
does-
it's a marginal upgrade in a long line of succession of marginal upgrades to Dimir Naz Consult Scepter as a shell.
always
I guess
viable because of that shell.
Yuriko is probably, despite it still being like extremely popular, is still probably like one of the more interesting things.
Arami's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Too.
I was going to say Arami is my
yeah.
favorite one, but it
Arami is
doesn't-
actually like by far the most interesting.
Yes, I was going to say Arami is hands down my favorite for sure. And last but not least on this list is Volo, which is a deck that I brewed like in 2 different colors and like 4 different styles. And,
there's
2 colors, 4 styles, 0 wins.
0 times playing. The
I was about to say 0 games played.
Exactly.
No, I got legend brews.
Yeah. I just need to find the right schmuck to pin all my destiny on.
We did leave Rigo off the list, which we do as a, shout out to Kai.
Actually, you know what? No, deserved. Rigo is just like worse, Timna.
But that's such a high bar to fail to clear.
Right, but Timna exists in the format. You can't ignore that. Like,
Cool. So. The last thing on our little chart here is best decks end of year. So I said this last year, and I'll say it again this year because someone's got to give this answer, which is, I don't know, man. Play what you want. I think what makes our format fun, and kind of is like the core spirit of our format, is people playing things that are interesting and fun and not just overly powerful. And I want to see people play what they want to play and what they find interesting, not necessarily what they think is best all the time. Which I think people are already doing that. It's just the direction that I view things are going is that people are more playing like what is viewed as the best deck and what they're being told is the best deck, which I think is it's very possible that Blue Farm is the best deck. Do I think it's the best deck? I think it's an open question, and I don't think you should take everyone's like. Just because someone says it's the best deck, it's certainly good, but you know what? The best deck is going to be the deck that you win with and you're most comfortable playing, so...
And just because of that, I'll bring a Serac to a tournament for you.
Do it.
One time.
I'm not. Listen, Reed.
Didn't you already do that once?
I did do it once. I Wrath of God a Damnation to Yeva player and then died anyway.
You know what? The Serac can put in work, man. You know, and no one's gonna. You're gonna
I'll
have
take it.
negative respect. So it's actually you've got a buff going into
I
it.
just want to play my fun dungeon deck.
You just okay. Honestly, that's the kind of thing where you use a pseudonym and you take it to an online tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually about to joke that I just pull Morgan and do the same thing.
Well, the thing is too. Actually, when you're talking about the year of tournaments and all these tournaments coming up, I think when you're traveling to an in-person tournament or when there was the only tournament might have been like Tier 1 Con. It's like, man, there's a lot at stake, and you really want to perform well or something like that. Whereas when you've got online tournaments firing maybe every other week, and tournaments are no longer like the kind of just novelty thing that they were before, you can take a deck
to throw a few.
Yeah, you can afford to have fun and experiment and see how it goes. Because I legitimately do think that playing worse decks makes you a better player. Not necessarily universally, but there are certain decks that are worse off that are going to make you a lot better player.
I've told this story a bunch of times, but the reason why I got so proficient at identifying windows and finding specifically instant speed stuff for Flash Algera, but just in general, is because I played 400 games of Virals. Which is not a good deck, wasn't necessarily a good deck at the time, but had very specific restrictions and was powerful in specific ways, which means that just by playing the deck a bunch, it teaches you specific things.
Viral made me a much better control player.
Yeah, exactly.
Morgan,
Matt,
you're
did Muldrotha teach you anything?
I honestly didn't play that much Muldrotha.
Yeah, I don't even think it's necessarily a bad deck.
It's not,
No,
and it certainly did teach me things, mostly about
how to pub stomp.
Exactly, pub stomp garbage, tier 3-4 at best. That's. I think I still have that review section in my primer, which is just all the harshest things people have said about Muldrotha.
Best decks end of year. Well, I haven't played many decks and I haven't watched many games, but I've been surprisingly impressed with Blue Pod in the time that I've had. I think I've been playing pod-based decks for a long time, and I've never felt like they've been as impressive as they have been now. So I'll give it that.
Fair.
Reed.
Boo! Boo!
I'm gonna say Timna Crom. I think there are a lot of really good partners decks in the format right now, and I think that they're all around the same power level, especially. I think depending on the tournament, this slot switches between a variety of them and even potentially some 3-color decks, depending on if it gets to the really extreme ranges of what the meta looks like. But I do think that on just a pure power level perspective, just the deck with the most raw power behind it at the end of the year, I think it's Timna Crom. I don't think you can deny that the deck with Timna plus Crom in the command zone that gets to play Dockside and Breach and Oracle combos doesn't have the most raw power out of anything that's going on, right?
So my answer, I feel like I'm going to get made fun of for this. It's Thrasios Timna. But there's a caveat, which is I don't know what version. It's so meta dependent. But I think that for any tournament of 128 players, if you were given all of the deck lists
and then could assemble
a Thrasios Timna list that would be at or the best list at that tournament.
I can buy that. Yeah.
The trick is making those decisions ahead of time.
Yeah.
But exactly. I do think just the insane flexibility of that shell, I think it's more flexible than Timna Crom even.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. Yeah.
And without having the same level of sort of explosiveness. But you can get close. If you wanted to make Turbo Thrasios Timna, you could.
Yeah.
And so I think you just it's about picking the meta and bringing the right version of the deck, but it's a choice that if you do it well, it'll always perform. And even if you make the slightly wrong choice, it can only be bad.
If you're in the ballpark, just the fact that pretty much every version of Thrasios Timna has some form of it's like a toolbox shell. Basically no matter how you build it, just because of the creatures and the tutors and all that stuff and the card draw. It's it's hard to be completely wrong.
And the ambiguity of what you're doing is also very powerful.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, the fact that people don't know what they need to be watching for. Like, you can play Thrasios Tymna and then have, 5 mana open instead of 4.
Yeah.
And then end step Nas instead of end step activate Thrasios.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, I didn't think you were on Nas. Oh, or you can drop an Archon of Emeria and then everyone can just fold,
Yeah.
Just anything.
Didn't we see... Was it Path of Dominance 1 or 2 where we saw the
Enchantress stacks? I think it was actually both of them.
Yeah.
That was a sweet deck.
Yeah, that's a hot deck. I love that deck. I would never play it, but I love that deck.
Reed, you're being told that you need to bring Cole to a tournament.
To a tournament before I bring a Serac again? Yeah. That's... that's actually not an unreasonable request.
I feel like a Serac would get more disrespect than Cole.
Yeah, but Cole has way more game to it.
That's fair.
Like, orders of magnitude more game to it than a Serac does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Serac's pretty limited.
Cool. So, yeah. Well, our next section is meta trends. So things that we kind of noticed, maybe not just meta in terms of like the CDH meta itself, but like, also just
in the community at large. Yeah.
Number 1, everyone and their mother's playing Blue Farm. And
a lot of Blue Farm. So much Blue Farm. Blue Farm, Rogside, Najeela. Those are...
Yeah.
You go to a tournament, you'll see all of those at some point.
Yeah.
Probably in the top 16.
Well, I don't know. Najeela doesn't win. That's the...
You just can't win games.
Yeah, somehow I feel like, there was the memes about like, Tymna Kraum is the best deck, but it's never won a tournament. I don't know how Najeela escaped ridicule for all these years.
I mean, didn't Zane win...
No. I don't think so. I don't think...
Oh, no, it was a Tremnek win. I mean, made top 4 with the Najeela, but...
There have been a couple top 4s, but considering how many people bring Najeela to every tournament, the rate of top 4s pretty low, and no tournament wins.
It's just... It is actually because...
I'm not saying the deck is bad. The deck is clearly good.
Yeah. But, like, it is just because, though, that, like, when you get to a top pod, so much of the time it's just 3 partners decks and Najeela, and you're just, like, not favoring that pod at all, right? Like, Najeela has such a hard time in multiple partners pods compared to, like, the overall meta, I feel like.
Maybe.
Sure? I don't know.
I don't know. Like, if everybody's, like, on the same page, like, we've experienced this, like, so much of, like, if everybody's on the same page of, like, we just, like, don't let Najeela have warriors.
Okay,
so we
hang on a second. Everyone being on the same page of not letting Najeela build up warriors is not the same thing at all as a 3-partner pod.
Sure. Okay, sure.
This year we also saw this one is actually I'm really kind of excited about, which was the influx of legacy players.
Yeah.
And
just other format players in general. Obviously there's some high profile legacy players, but lots of people coming in not from Commander. That was awesome to see.
It was really cool to see when Brian Koval won Oktoberfest, and then he did his like tournament breakdown.
Yeah.
At the end of his video, I think Matt Sparling he was discussing with. Like, awesome. That was just super cool. It was like, wow, like a Magic Pro is talking CDH, like talking about Blue Farm and all these like tech swaps. It's like, wow, that's weird. Like, remember?
Surreal,
do you
right?
remember when we'd come home and watch like Tour Lab Maniacs on like that? That was huge. Like, it's just it's weird to see, and it's just awesome and cool to see how far the format has come. And like the reach that it has, and I'm just super excited to see it continue to grow.
Unfortunately, I do think it might be at the expense of some of those other formats. Unfortunately, in terms of like, I think a large part of that is people becoming sort of fed up or bored with their respective formats, which I'm not super happy about. But I mean, having people exposed to CDH is just great. So.
Yeah, I think legacy players are just accepting their sunk costs. They're like, what am I going to do with all these duels? Like, vintage costs more money, but
I think it's
CDH.
Legacy players have ruined their own format, and they've come to ruin ours.
That's the real take.
Yeah. Soon we're going to have the initiative.
No.
Card design for 1v1 breaks 4 players. we got our payback for years of Modern Masters.
I think we talked about this, like with the death of pet decks and stuff like that. People switching decks for tournaments.
Yep. Same stuff.
And
apparently,
I didn't write this one down.
I wrote this one down actually. But more people are realizing that Morgan's face, his name, and his Discord, and they're hating him out of pods.
an uncomfortable number of people be like, "Oh, I recognize
That's
your
Morgan.
voice."
Hashtag
somewhere.
Morgan dies first.
Yep.
I've been telling you for years.
So real.
Yeah.
He'll keep dying.
And then our last section to round it out is our predictions. So we did last year. We did some predictions, so we're going to quickly review those predictions, see how we did, and then we've got predictions for 2023.
Yep.
So last year, my predictions were which one? This one is such a cheesy prediction because I have complete control over whether or not this one was going to happen. Which is I will make and publish a primer,
Kind of fail.
which I 100% did do. I did. There's a zombie primer out there, and I'm pretty sure there's some of the people who worked on that in chat. And
What percentage of that primer did you write?
That what? That's
All right.
Alright. So we'll give that one half a point at the most.
Oh god.
We round up.
And then the last one was Arcane and I will catch on to some extent, which was pure cope.
There's no points.
But
there.
no. There is point. I'm going to give myself 0.5 because there was non-driven by me discourse around Arcane and L on the subreddit like a couple days ago. There was a thread about people discussing Arcane and L.
Yeah,
Then there's also an article on Commander Herald.
Wait, a couple of days ago?
What?
It took a couple of days ago?
Yeah.
That's 2023.
No!
Missed the mark.
No!
You can still wrap up your predictions for this year if you want.
Oh god. Okay, 0 points for that one.
Yep.
Oh.
Matt?
All right. I think this one actually really did happen. But I predicted that 4-color would fall out of favor, and you know what, guys? Winota is the deck of the year, so I'm going to go ahead and say that
Sometimes
I
you
think
shoot for
this
the
one-
stars and you just drift forever alone in space.
This one might be the take that, like, the prediction that's come closest to being worth negative points.
Yeah, we'll run close to 0. How about that?
We round up to 0.
Yeah.
I actually thought this one would have a legitimate chance, but a strong new 2-color legend that actually has a tournament result. And I don't think we got there.
we just didn't
Chat
really
can
see
correct
that
us, but I don't think
Yeah,
so.
and
It was all like 1 and 3 color, which
Yeah,
is weird.
there's
Like, we
some-
didn't
And
really
then,
get a
I mean, there was a
full
Kark
sequence.
Sakashima win, but
Yeah,
that's not
obviously,
new.
but
Yeah.
that's not new. Yeah.
But I think that's potentially a 2023 prediction. I didn't put it down again.
Reed?
Yeah. So mine were both not egregiously wrong, but pretty wrong. I don't think I succeeded on either one of these, unfortunately. My first prediction from last year was that Cody would spike another tournament. Didn't quite get that one. There weren't a whole lot of people that actually picked up Cody, which I'm pretty glad about, honestly, because I think it's a pretty miserable experience. Not just for like the rest of the pod, but even yourself, like mental damage bringing it to tournaments. Where I have a heavy feeling that like if you were to consistently bring Cody to tournaments for like half a year, you would just feel like you were slamming your head against a wall for the majority of it. Like it cannot feel good to actually like play that consistently in tournaments. We did have a Cody player that brought it to a pretty good finish at Marchesa early in the year. Played against him in a pod right before top 16. Great guy. He was actually like still looking at innovations for the deck, and we had a really good discussion after the game. It was actually really interesting.
Awesome.
So basically, playing Cody is basically just it's like turning every deck you're playing against into Winota, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's
pretty
just
much.
the experience of playing against Winota is just that's no matter what you're playing against, the way
Yeah.
people play. You're just
And then my second prediction from last year was that Orzhov would gain a broken commander, or at least, like, a good commander for this year. We unfortunately didn't see that. Wizards is working their way toward it, but it is sort of unfortunate that out of like 425 whatever commanders printed this year, they just like couldn't print a good Orzhov one.
Yeah.
They can't keep putting like cleric on all of the horses.
Guys, what if we did something with like aristocrats in Orzhov? Let's just try it again.
Someone promote him.
Keep trying this one.
all right, and my two, I said we'll get a new playable commander-agnostic win con, sort of on the tier of Wither Chain. Swift Wreck is not technically commander-agnostic. You do need the commander to be a mana outlet, but so I guess I give myself a half point for that because it's not. Like, when I wrote that, I was intending, like, a specific synergy with a commander.
Right.
So I'll give myself a half point for semi-agnostic.
And there's also like kit and pod
accept that.
stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, dude,
honestly,
the bar
I
was
actually
Wither-chained.
do think it's better than Wither.
That's what I was gonna say. Because like the bar is
Oh, actually, no.
Wither-chained.
You know what? I think Vivian also fulfills this role.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Full point
Wow.
Vivian
in the
might,
lead,
I
and
guess.
then
I think
How did I
Vivian
open
would
my
actually.
just a full-on swing and a miss on. We'll get a ban with substantial impact on CDH. We didn't get any bans, so
Guys, we got a whole 1.5 points this year out of a perfect mark of 8.
Wow.
I'm still riding the high from when I got 2 full predictions right the first time we ran predictions.
Yeah, so moving on to our prediction for 2023. Before we get into that, actually, talking about bans for CDH and stuff, one thing we wanted to mention was a big thing that happened this year was a CDH player getting put on the RC.
Yeah.
And
huge.
this is the first time
go.
since the
Yeah.
format's inception that we've seen someone new on the RC,
Yeah.
right? Is that true?
No, they added
there?
someone. They took someone off and added someone in like 2010. I'm
Okay,
pretty
yeah.
sure there's been a shakeup,
Yeah.
like
That's-
a while ago though.
And honestly, big congratulations to Jim.
Oh, yeah,
And Olivia as well.
Yeah,
Obviously
yeah,
not a
Olivia,
CDH
yeah,
player,
yeah.
but awesome to just see more representation on the RC. Get some new perspectives.
And also, even having Rebel on the
CAG.
CAG, yeah.
Yeah.
Great, right?
Big strides being
we
made
are
for the
inevitable.
Okay, so predictions for 2023. I have more non-top tier / off meta lists will win major tournaments than top meta lists. So, this year we saw Yeva, Magda, Crick, all these things. That's what I say. Non-top tier off meta versus like the Blue Pod and all this stuff, right? Or Window.
Blue Pod is
No, shut up, Blue Pod. I mean, Blue Pod.
Blue Farm.
Blue Farm.
Yeah.
I still say Blue Pod is top.
Like last year,
you
were
like the only
Razakets and
person
Blue
to-
Pod
yeah.
off meta?
Are you like the only person to have Blue Pod results this year?
I don't
No, literally, Brian Koval won a tournament with. Oh, Blue Pod.
Blue
Sorry,
Pod,
yeah.
yeah.
Blue
No, Blue Farm won like 4 tournaments this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think so. I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
There's lots of tournaments that I don't always get the full scoop on,
Yeah.
especially ones that aren't like either run in online spaces or like the very major in-person ones.
And then my second prediction is the Commander Singularity, which is we are going to see 550 Commander
The
printed
double event is coming.
Yeah.
2 sets at the same time.
legals. These non-Acorn, these 550 playable commanders that are legal are going to be printed this year.
I'm
Wow.
I'm gonna call that one a whiff, but I
Reed's prediction is that Lyndon's prediction doesn't happen.
I think I don't think it's unreasonable, but I think it's probably gonna be a
dude.
whiff.
It's already unreasonable. We're already at an unreasonable amount.
Even half of that is a lot.
Yeah. Matt?
All right, my predictions. So, mine are always hot, right? So this year we're gonna get a bad consult that goes in non-black decks. Okay, I'm talking
Amazing.
Paradigm Shift, Leveler. You know what I'm talking about. But
Thought Lash.
Thought Lash.
Lash.
But it'll be a little bit better. That's the
All
baseline.
right,
If
cool.
it's not better than Paradigm Shift, it doesn't count.
Okay.
It doesn't count.
That's fair.
It can't
Okay.
just be like a full brick, like Paradigm Shift
Yeah.
and Leveler.
Really?
And then this seems a bit more realistic, but Year of the Secret Tech.
I
So,
love this one.
This is such a great prediction.
so the actual proper fulfillment condition here is there's a card that was printed in 2022 that did not see play that will see a lot of play in 2023 because no one read it. there were too many cards and it did not get read.
That's so good.
So this year is the Year of the Secret Tech.
Yeah, I feel like instead of going back 20 years for like, digging through like that weird card from Homelands that just fits perfectly, like, oh hey,
just
Deathblade Elite, this card is actually sick. Like, oh wait, this is actually just this was printed last year and no one noticed.
It was in the jumpstart for the Commander deck for the standard
Yeah.
set.
But only in the set boosters for
Set
the Jumpstart
booster
Commander
exclusive,
set. Yeah.
obviously. Yeah. Okay, read your predictions.
So my predictions for this year, unfortunately, not that spicy, but I think the first one is going to be a sort of safe bet, but I'd be pleasantly proven wrong if it is, which is that Winota will continue to bar basically any actual stacks deck from actually succeeding in a tournament. I think that it's like just so unreasonable that like any combat damage deck will ever do well when like it feels like the default deck for people getting into tournament CDH at this point is just playing Winota. And it's just like that just kills those. It kills those deads, like those decks, like just dead. And then my second pick is the ambitious guess here, which is that I think next year we are going to see even better Naya performances than we saw this year.
So okay, now
and that includes
make that more concrete.
We saw Miskinboo top 4 twice this year. We saw
no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
At least one of those was last year.
Was it? Okay.
The Minskaboo win was last year.
The Minskaboo win was last year, or Minsk win last year. Anyway,
or sorry. We didn't see Minskaboo top.
We saw Minsk top 4.
Minsk, not Minskaboo.
Minsk, yeah.
Okay, like Naya.
Naya, yeah,
sure.
yeah. I'm talking about Naya in general.
Minsk,
yeah. So Minsk top 4, I think, twice this year, at least once.
I know Rocco did. Minsk.
So Minsk top 4 at least once this year. Rocco won in top 4 or just top 4?
The best part is there's just next year's gonna be so many tournaments that like we could just totally make up like
I guess
oh yeah, this commander totally 3 top 4s.
Yeah,
like, prove me wrong.
And then so Naya Dargo also made a top 4 this year, and I'm pretty sure like there were a bunch of local tournaments with Naya like really good results as well. So I'm predicting even better than that.
So you're gonna have to do the math on this one. You're gonna have to do like
to
ratio number of tournaments to average performance of the deck.
Actually, I'll even add in parentheses in the show notes so that when we copy them from next year, I have to do the research ahead of time compare years concretely. There we go.
And Morgan, what you got?
So I have 2. I guess one of them is one of them's big and one of them's small. So the big one is Dockside's not living the year.
And he's getting banned?
Yeah.
Dockside ban?
That's
2 ban-oriented predictions in a row.
I know.
Whoa.
Are they mostly hopium?
Dude, I want my hopium is Dranith, man. Please.
They're not. Dockside's going so far before Dranith. Yeah. And then my second prediction is there will be a like very viable Universes Beyond commander, and we get to have that discourse all over again.
Very viable. What's that?
Like tournament playable. Like a reasonable person would bring it to a tournament.
A reasonable tournament result.
I'll take it to a tournament.
You'll take it. That's
like
Frodo Baggins, bro. I'm not ready for the Frodo Baggins right
I think it has to be better. It has to be better than the best things we've seen so far, which are I guess Baby Blue Farm.
Yeah.
And
what Abaddon?
No, I think the other
Marnius
or the copy X-Spells one are both better.
Yeah.
Sure, it has to be better than all of those.
Sure. Okay.
Whatever you think is the best of them. I guess Baby Blue
better
Farm is
than
the
Marnius.
best of those.
Better than Marnius or the Baby Blue Farm stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, our predictions have been locked in for the year. We'll check in next year to see how we did. Hopefully we did better than a collective 1.5.
Yeah,
I don't
honestly.
know what the other scores were, but that's
I'm cleverly writing this down as UB commander. So when there's a blue-black commander that's really good, I can just pivot.
Okay, so this brings us to kind of some things that we're going to talk about before we wrap up.
Yeah.
So big announcement.
Big announcement, guys. Yep. It's been an awesome run with Into the North. It's been the center point of past 4 years, basically, I think, at this point.
Yep.
But my overall interest in Magic and honestly, my engagement with the community has been at an all-time low, so I will be departing from the Into the North team. Yeah.
Yep.
I will not be offline, and I will still be playing Magic, but I don't think I can quite be the authority I have been. Yeah.
Yeah, and the door is always open to come back for guest appearances. I mean, we did also, do this thing, so sometime, maybe we can do a gameplay or something, or door's always open.
Yep.
For you to come back if you want.
I'd love to do cameos.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But we're super sad to see you go. Obviously, much love. You've been a centerpiece of the podcast for the past 4 years. I think that Morgan, you've had the quote of like Matt definitely has like the highest impact on the podcast per word spoken.
Matt is the ultimate.
Your ratio of good contributions to time spent talking.
Yeah.
Ahead by a mile.
ultimate glue guy too.
Yep.
Yeah, just like hold things together and
the
like
gap, yeah.
Yeah.
You're the least cancelable member according to Crunch.
Yeah.
But,
So
yeah,
I mean, this
okay.
marks kind of a shifting point into
Yep.
the north. So we're kind of going to be talking amongst Morgan, Reed, and myself about kind of like what we plan on doing next. Maybe more guest episodes. Maybe
Yeah.
kind of.
I think it's
3,
almost a certainty that we're probably going to end up with more guest episodes, which also means that anybody in chat, if you have stuff to talk about, let us know. I mean, like,
PayPal is
$50. But yeah, it's we're gonna see how it goes because there's a bunch of stuff obviously that with a 4-person podcast you can't exactly do a whole lot of that we might end up experimenting with. We might just settle back into the regular podcast schedule sans Matt, unfortunately, but we'll see how it goes. It's
So yeah, stay tuned. We might be playing around with some stuff, and then we might change our minds. See what works best and whatnot. And then
At least it wasn't a scandal.
yeah,
what on your
right,
show?
you guys
At this point, this is
yeah.
Matt being drummed out of the podcast.
You just didn't have enough Moxfield views.
I never wrote that Bort primer. The Kiki primer. Oh, I knew it. Turning point. Yeah.
And then our last thing is a call for a video editor. So we actually, we did have a stoppage in our gameplay episodes after our first one, but we do have a backlog of recordings.
Yeah, we have a bunch of raws. We have like 3 or 4 episodes recorded and basically ready to be edited and go out. But unfortunately, again, Matt donated a bunch of his time to get that first one out the door.
Way too much of his time.
Incredibly appreciative of it. It was just an unreal amount of effort
The
to get that
potential
one.
with these guys is high. So stay tuned.
But
Seriously.
we would really appreciate if anybody has experience with that kind of stuff and is
Or knows someone.
or knows somebody,
yeah.
or just has any desire to look into that kind of stuff. We'd be happy to hear from you.
Yeah, I guess, and this won't be the last you see of Matt because if we get those episodes published,
yeah.
We're gonna ration them out. It's gonna be like a treat. Oh, this one has Matt in it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, I am coming out with the most awarded.
Yeah, we unfortunately had to erase it to put the episode name up, but that scoreboard had Matt at 2 and everyone else at 1. So retired champion.
Retired champ.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. If you guys like to reach out to us with any questions, comments, or concerns, you can contact us on Twitter at IntoNorthPod, via our email, intonorthpodcast@gmail.com, or on our Discord server, the invite link for which can be found in the description for this episode. An extra special thanks to all of our patrons who help cover the expenses for our show and allow us to work towards improving the quality of the podcast. If you too would like to become a patron, we are at patreon.com/IntoNorthPodcast. Thank you, as always, to the band Vox Cadre for our lovely podcast music, to Nate Slover for our equally lovely podcast logo, and to our long-suffering podcast editor, Morgan. Next episode will be out in 2 weeks. Until then, see ya.
Bye.
Have a good one.